We made it, guys. It's Friday. Welcome back to Vacation Bible Stories. And today, I don't know, what are we going to learn about today? I think it's a good day for a battle.
You're right. It's a rootin' tootin' kind of battle, too. It's about David and Goliath. Woo, you're going to love this. Oh, this is going to be great. Now, this comes out of Samuel 17, but there's a cowgirl that's ready to tell you all about it.
All right.
It's not easy being the youngest in the family. While my older brothers all get to go on exciting adventures, I get left behind doing the boring stuff like watching the sheep. Sheep don't do much, they just stand around eating grass all day. Boring. That's why I'm excited when my dad asked me to take some bread and grain to my brothers. They were soldiers in Saul's army, facing an enemy called the Philistines. The Philistines bragged about their fierce warrior named Goliath. He was over 9 feet tall. That's huge. Every day he challenged our mightiest fighters to a battle, but no one was brave enough to face him. Even King Saul was afraid of that big bully. My dad loaded up the bread and grain and said, "David, take this food to your brothers, then come back here and tell me how they're doing." He sounded very worried. When I got to my brothers, they were scared to death. In fact, every soldier in our army was terrified. For the 14th day in a row, Goliath taunted us and defied our God. Our army just quivered in their boots. I can't believe it. No one was stronger than God. God would give us the strength to fight. So I went to King Saul and I told him I would fight Goliath. "No way," said Saul. "You're just a shrimpy boy. That bully would squash you like a bug." But I wasn't afraid. I knew God was on our side. Saul gave me his own heavy armor for protection, but I didn't need it. God would be my armor. I grabbed my sling and a few smooth stones from the stream. Then I marched out to face the giant. Up close, he was even greater than I imagined. Just one of his legs was taller than my whole body. Still, I wasn't afraid. Goliath laughed at me. He sneered at me. He mocked me and told me he would feed me to the birds. But I glared up at the giant and shouted, "I come to you in the name of the Lord, the God of Israel. God is on our side, and I will beat you because this is the Lord's battle." Never once did I doubt that God would help me, so I put a stone in my sling and I wound it up. My sling twirled faster and faster. Swish, swish, swish. I let the stone fly. It smacked Goliath on the forehead. That was the end of him. The Philistine soldiers ran away from the flock. The Philistine soldiers ran away like a flock of scared pigeons. We had won. Even though I was just a kid, God helped me defeat that ginormous bully. And now the whole world knows that God is on our side. I wasn't afraid to face Goliath because I knew he was with me. Everyone else was afraid, my brothers, the soldiers, even King Saul. They forgot that God was on our side. You may not fight a giant like Goliath the way I did, but you face other Goliaths in the life that might scare you. Remember that God is always on your side. Even when it seems like everyone else is afraid, you don't have to be.
Chinga, chinga, chinga.
That's the sound of my spurs on my boots.
Chinga, ching, chinga.
I love the sound of these spurs. Howdy, y'all. How many of you youngins have heard about David and Goliath? Well, I'm not surprised one bit because it's a powerful part of the Bible. Now, how many of you know how to make a noise? I don't hear anything. Well, that doesn't surprise me either because y'all are a bunch of rascals. So I guess you won't mind helping me out for the next bit of time by being a little bit rowdy, would you? Okay, then, let's roll like a tumbleweed on the prairie. Now, I know David and Goliath lived a long time ago, before there were cowboys and cowgirls, pistols and such, but if you ask me, this here was a showdown. And being as I'm a cowgirl, that's how I'm going to tell it. Now, the Israelites were dealing with a bunch of bad guys called the Philistines. The Philistines were about as mean and nasty as they come. And there was this one fella in a whole bunch, and his name was Goliath. He was one tall drink of water. Well, Goliath walked, and it sounded like a herd of buffalo. Let me hear you stomp your feet. Yup, that's what it sounded like when giant Goliath walked around. He also had a big, fat mouth to boot. You know, he kept picking on the Israelites, fighting words. You see, the Israelites and the Philistines were in a fight. And were lined up across from each other, you know, in a valley every day at sunup. Goliath would come out and tease the Israelites, laughing as they were shaking in their boots. He'd say, "One of you yellow bellies come out and fight me." Let me hear you say those words. Can you say it?
One of you yellow bellies come on out and fight me.
Well, that Goliath was so mean that he kept on hollering and hollering every morning for 40 days. And the Israelites were just about fed up. But it just so happened that David, who'd been watching sheep back home, had been sent by his daddy to fetch some victuals for his brother who were fighting in the feud. He asked his brothers, "Now, what's all that ruckus?" Say it with me. Now, what's all that ruckus?
Now, what's all that ruckus?
So the Israelites told David what was going on. One of David's brothers got a burr under his hat about it. Yeah, that's not good. The brother told David to mind his own business and get back to his sheep wrangling. Let me see you wrangle and round up some sheep. While you're at it, sound off like a bunch of sheep do too. You ready? Bah, 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 bah. Really? There's a whole lot of sheep there. You know, David, he wouldn't stand for it, and soon Saul, the head honcho of the Israelite army, got wind of David being amongst the ranks. Oh my goodness. So Saul, he went to have a word with David. David told him, "Don't you worry one bit. I'll get that overgrown ape and teach him a thing or two." Saul told David he was crazier than a bag of raccoons. But David said, "I ain't scared." Now you say it.
I
ain't scared. Yeah. Then David told Saul how he arm wrestled lions and bears just for fun. Doing all this stuff, I don't know. So Saul said, "Go on then, and God bless you." Because he's going to do it for him, I guess. So Saul tried to give David some fancy weapons to kill Goliath, but David wouldn't have any part of that. David was good with rocks, so rocks are what he used. Meanwhile, big Goliath, real big guy, you got to look at little David. I'm saying little. And had himself a good chuckle. Let me hear you chuckle like Goliath. Goliath was huge, and I would say he did sound a lot like that. So let me hear a huge chuckle. That's more like it. Goliath said, "Those Israelites are off their loving rockers. That boy ain't no taller than a goat." But those would be the last words Goliath spoke, because David picked up one of his rocks, put it in his trusty slingshot, and started twirling it. You know, above his head like this. Let me see you give it a twirl. Come on. Got to get that slingshot going. There you go. All right. Next thing you know, that rock came flying out of that sling like a two-fanged bat and hit Goliath smack right in the forehead, right in the middle there of his noggin. Why don't you give it a try? Throw them paper wads like you was slinging rocks. That big boy's mouth was finally shut up 3 ways to Sunday. The Israelites had won the fight. Yee-haw! Say it with me now. Yee-haw! All right. Good job, people. Time for me to get a mosing on home.
Ching, ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
Y'all take care now, you hear?
Well, we did it. We've made it through a whole week together. Weren't these some great stories? Each day, we hope you learned a little bit more about our stories.
Well, we went through some Valley Girls. You know, they were like telling us a whole bunch about creation, and they did a really good job, don't you think?
You know, we had that liar trying to convince us to go along with whatever he said, and like all his temptations. Not a good dude.
No, that definitely wasn't. But then, you know, we had that great reporter that was telling us all about Noah's Ark and the animals that were coming in 2 by 2. Now, that was a lot of fun.
That was all those animals. I mean, the elephants and the hyenas.
Yeah.
Lions.
Tigers
awesome.
And bears. Yeah.
Oh, my.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had those brothers that, oh, my gosh. Have you ever had a fight with your sibling like that? Yeah. If you have had a sibling, there's often some battles that happen.
Yeah, I had many with my sister and I never won. But I will tell you all about the rootin', tootin', highfalutin' battle between David and Goliath. Now that was awesome. I think that cowgirl was cool too, don't you?
I think she was excellent.
I thought she was really cool.
Yeah, she was awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us on our week-long adventure. We pray that you've been blessed by everything, all the stories and all the talking this week. And we hope you have a great rest of the week. And we hope that you enjoy going back to school. I said it. Oops.
You went there. I don't know about that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But you can take these stories with you to school with you. And remember to always follow God. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.